Well, let's head to Kenya now, where its largest supermarket chain, Nakumatt, has closed another branch. Now, the move comes barely a month after shutting down its outlet at the NextGen Mall. That's along Mombasa Road in Nairobi. The family-owned firm is fighting to cut back on massive debts owed to suppliers, estimated at about $146 million as of February 2015. It's, of course, a situation that has been piling pressure on the supermarket's operation. Now, one of Kenya's biggest retailers, Tuskys, has signed a merger deal to rescue the struggling Nakumatt Supermarket. Of course, Nakumatt will access stock to replenish the empty shelves from Tuskys suppliers. It will also use Tuskys supply chain as the two retailers look into ways of aligning their operations, including management changes that will give Tuskys considerable decision-making rights in Nakumatt. At least that's what we know of the deal so far. But to discuss this further, we're joined in the studio by Rufus Mwanyasi. He's the managing director at Canaan Capital. Thank you for joining us, Rufus. Now, we just talked about the terms of this deal between Nakumatt and Tuskys. What do you make certainly of this deal? Is it a merger? Is it a takeover? What do we know so far?
Well, we really don't know. We're not privy to those details about the nature of the deal. We're meant to understand that that's information that is going to come out in the course of the week. But however, if it's indeed a merger, then I think it's good information from it's good information for Nakumatt. Yeah.
What do you think of this deal? And we do know that Nakumatt was discussing a deal before that fell through with, I think, foreign partners, private equity firms. What do you make of this deal and the fact that some people see it as a homegrown deal rather than taking Nakumatt out of the country?
Yeah, I think it's a make or break deal. And as you said, we've had no less than 5 suitors in the last 2 years. But somehow those deals have never materialized. So this is a good opportunity in terms of just keeping the business going on, or as a going on concern. So I think going forward, I think it's everyone's interest for both parties to make sure that the deal is actually materializes. So it's a wait and see for most of us.
Now, the fact is, Nakumatt has billions of shillings in debt right now. Do you think this deal will save the company and certainly satisfy its creditors as well?
Well, we like to think so. Look, it's a massive debt. I'm not sure whether Tuskys or whether it's a merger deal will clear the deal in one sweep. So I think it might be a long-term arrangement just to ease the pain for the supermarket. So I like to think that they're coming in to sort out some of the more than just the business front, but working capital issues as well as the managerial issues as well. Yeah.
Now, this is a deal between 2 of Kenya's biggest local retailers. Kenya's competition authority says it hasn't really heard anything about the deal, hasn't received an application yet. So do you think this deal will face some resistance in terms of antitrust laws in Kenya going forward?
Typically this deal it can face some regulatory challenges owing to the fact that both have household names with significant market share in the, within the retail space. But just looking at the special circumstances that that Nakumatt is in, perhaps we might see receiving regulatory green light, but maybe with some conditions on it. Yeah.
Now, given the fact that we've seen a lot of struggles amongst Kenyan retailers, a lot of debt piling up, we're also seeing the entrance of a lot of multinationals into the sector. What is your outlook for Kenya's retail sector? Positive, cautiously positive going forward? Well,
I think it's going to get more competitive in terms of pricing and things like that. For the local players, I think it's time for re-strategizing. Yes, I think the outlook, in terms of their business, it means more depressed margins, but it doesn't need to be so if they get the strategy right. More competitors, multinational, companies coming in. I think it's a good story, even for the outlook. It tells you that as a retail space in the country is growing, okay, but doesn't mean that the local players are just will be shoved off quite so easily. Yeah.
Well, many thanks for joining us in the studio, and thank you for your insights. Of course, that was Rufus Mwanyasi, the managing director at Canaan Capital.